So great to have you all here tonight. It's just really fantastic to see such a big crowd here. So just want to take a few minutes to introduce myself and talk a little bit about why we're here. My name is Marcus Satha. I'm one of the founders of Inclusive Books for Children, but for most people here, better known as Sarah's husband. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's so wonderful to see such a big crowd for this launch, and it's so nice to be surrounded by all these fantastic books. So a special thank you to CLPE for the space, and Farah for the wonderful introduction as well. Thank you. These days I spend a lot of time reading, and books have become an important part of my life. But when I was growing up, I had a much more distant relationship with books than I do now. I actually found them quite unsettling. See, most of my exposure to books was at school, and I remember when we get a new book in class, the classroom would buzz with excitement, people would run around, waiting to see what it was. But I remember not feeling excited. I remember feeling nervous. You see, I knew the book would never be about someone like me. But that wasn't even the main problem. Too often these books would contain throwaway, derogatory comments, negative stereotypes of people that look like me, and sometimes even racial slurs. They say children are like sponges, and too often I would hear these comments echoed by classmates, and no doubt I internalized some of them myself. So I didn't get off to the best start with books, and it's taken a while for me to kind of rebuild that. But in a lot of ways, I think it pushed me away from literature and towards maths, and away from words and towards numbers. And it's definitely had some long-term adverse consequences, because now I'm a banker. As you might recognize on my colleagues. When Sarah and I had children, these concerns were at the front of my mind. And I didn't want my daughter to have a similar experience to me. So whenever we got a book, I would review it cover to cover and make sure there was nothing problematic in it before letting her read it. Fortunately for me, Sarah shared my concerns, and she trawled the internet to find inclusive books for our children. Unfortunately, it was quite hard to do. It took quite a lot of work, and there wasn't a readily accessible resource for parents. And that's really where the idea of inclusive books for children, IBC, started. Stories are powerful tools that allow you to relate, empathize, understand and connect with one another. We should all be able to participate in the power of stories and how they inspire creativity and open up the imagination. I think that's something that we all want for the children in our lives. There's a true sense of power and control that comes from feeling like a main character in a story, in your story, and everyone deserves to feel like that. We all want books where we're represented in an authentic way, not just an extra, a sidekick, or a villain. To do this in an authentic way requires tacit cultural knowledge. This requires real diversity at the creative and production level to truly represent that identity in a book. The world has changed, and we need to change how we're representing the world in books. So today, with your presence here, you can contribute and be part of that change. In this room today, we have people from all around the industry, and together we can continue to fill up these shelves with new books that are for everyone. So please mingle and get to know each other and enjoy the evening. It's fantastic to have you all here. Thank you. I'm going to pass to Sarah.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Satha. Thanks a million for making the time to come and celebrate with us this evening. And thank you also to those of you who have taken the trouble to watch from home. We're celebrating the very first day of our website going live, inclusivebooksforchildren.org. This moment comes about 18 months after the idea first popped into our heads. And I think if I had known from the outset how many people, how many moving parts, how many books how many hundreds of hours of everybody's work would go into this. I might have given up before I even started. So I particularly appreciate those of you who knew better than I did how tall of an order it was, but still took a leap of faith and offered your support. So on that front, I would particularly like to thank Farah and Louise from CLPE, and also Jake Hope, and of course, Fabia Turner, who we all know as the founder of the Jericho Prize, but who is also now our brilliant head of content. Thank you to the publishers who have supported us with time and advice when we needed it, but especially, crucially, books to review. Thank you to the authors and illustrators of the gorgeous, inclusive books that we feature on the site that a new generation of children should enjoy reading for pleasure in a different way. And thank you to our sensational review team for your outstanding work, for your belief in the IBC concept, and for making it a really fun task to work on together. Marcus just spoke about feeling alienated and sometimes even anxious about books as a child. I have to admit that I didn't even notice that I, as a female, was largely invisible from children's books until I revisited children's books for the first time in a long time with our eldest a few years ago, both classics and contemporary bestsellers. I love reading to her, but when the seventh main character in a row in a wildly popular series turned out to be male again, I did what any reasonable person would do. I got out my Tipp-Ex and I went through every single page, changing Ben to Jen and he to she and him to her, wondering whether there might be a more scalable option to make a difference. It strikes me that as our children learn about the world, they are constantly receiving messages coded into their surroundings about who can do what. Who makes decisions in government, and what do those decisions imply about the worth of different humans? Who are their teachers, and what is on the curriculum? Who is doing which jobs? Who lives where? Who can do or say what to whom, and what happens next when they do? All the time, our children are calibrating their sense of where they belong, what their lives are allowed to look like, and how much they matter to society. With the story worlds that we present to our children in books, we have the opportunity to present them with a fresh slate in which their dreams and imaginations can explore and experiment free from all of that baggage. With books, we have the opportunity to nourish their minds with potentially huge knock-on effects for society. This very group, in this room and watching from home, collectively have the power to achieve that. And we at IBC aspire to make our contribution by gathering the knowledge about the inclusive books that you all come up with and making it freely available to anyone in the country. So to the creatives behind all of the wonderful books that we've reviewed, please keep mining and sharing your genius. And we're here to showcase your work to the world. To the publishers in the room, if you can champion inclusive stories and own voices, we will do everything in our power to find the biggest audience possible for them. So please keep submitting any books that you think are right for our site as soon as they're ready for a review, or anything from your backlist that you think that we might have overlooked. I have one final announcement to make, which is about our new first ever Inclusive Books for Children Awards. They're free to enter. Submissions open on Monday the 18th of September. And there's a total prize fund of £30,000 to be divided between the author and illustrator of the best new inclusive book in each of 3 age categories. All the information about eligibility and how to submit is on the website, so go and take a look. But in the meantime, please enjoy the rest of the evening. It's just so exciting and wonderful to be celebrating here with you tonight. Thank you very much.